There's a lot of people that RSVP.
Okay, well, maybe they're all sleepy too.
I know.
So we take a moment in the beginning, just kind of chit
Okay,
chat.
we're on live. Perfect.
We are live on Facebook.
I can't see myself still.
Oh, that's strange. Maybe when I stop sharing.
You had me up a minute ago.
There we go.
And we'll remove the slide when you start speaking. So.
Yeah, then you'll really be able to see yourself.
Up there's
Good
someone.
good morning, everybody. It is 7 a.m. And as everyone is coming in, I'm just going to give a quick summary just to give everyone a chance to come in. So for day one, we did setting the mood and crafting a very clear intention. If you missed day one, you could always view them here on our Facebook page. For day two, it was about practicing loving patience onto yourself, relaxing yourself, and also taking those breathing techniques, whichever one worked for you. We've been showing several different kinds. And then for day three, it was about calling for protection, surrounding yourself with white light, grounding yourself, and also producing sacred sounds or using the sounds around you as a form of vibration or frequency. And then for day four, we talked about going through the door, going through that door to that sacred space where you could invite your spirit guides and have that moment with them, and just be able to get whatever message you need, and also making sure to, you know, leave distractions out of that space. And then yesterday for day five, we talked about opening to frequencies and asking for signs. And at the same time, we also tapped into your senses. You know, what do you do? What senses do you recognize the pattern where you could feel something? Is it through touch? Is it through smell? Is it through hearing? Is it through seeing? You know, is it through thoughts? You know, visions. So that's what we talked. And then for today, we will be talking about asking for message or blessings and giving thanks. That will be the topic for today. And just a little bit about myself. My name is Rebecca. My husband, JB. Together we form Dual Dragons. We are holistic wellness consultants, also known as the Muscle Whisperers. We do along the lines of, we're both specialists of neuromuscular technique, which is a form of massage technique, but not the spa-like. We're not like with the, you know, the lotions, and we don't do spa-like massage. We do a lot of what we call trigger point therapy. All our sessions, our clients are clothed in a workout gear, whether it be like a t-shirt and, you know, yoga pants or just shorts. And in the process, as we're doing trigger point therapy, I'm also picking up on any energetic blockages, emotional blockages that are occurring through the body. And so for me, my gift is the minute I touch you, I start feeling everything. If you're nauseous, I will feel it. If you have a headache, if you have a very strong pain. Just recently, I actually worked on a client. She's pregnant, and you know, she's having a really hard time. She, you know, she's ready. Her due date is coming up. She was having a hard time breathing and experiencing a lot of pain here. And as I'm working on her, I could feel it. I mean, the pain was intense, especially on the right side, right here on the mid back. And I was struggling to breathe also as I was working on her. I was like, you know, I felt very pregnant too at that moment. And it was just very interesting because I had to remind myself, like, this is not yours. This is not yours. I got the message. Thank you. I understand. Thank you, body, for letting me know what you need. But now I need to detach. I cannot be working with this pain. So thank you. And then, release it. And and as I'm saying that inside of me, I don't say it out loud. As I'm saying that, then I all of a sudden I was able to breathe again, and that pain was gone, and then I've been dealing with my asthma too because of the fires. But that's another thing. You'll notice things that come up like that you need to address. And so just a little to continue about that. That's just a little, my body's reminding me right now of something I just the body will do that. The body will send you messages. It will do what it needs to tell you, like, hey, I need attention here. This needs to be addressed. And so that's why I stopped, because I was acknowledging it. I acknowledge it, like, thank you, body. I know I'm talking about you right now, but at the moment I need my voice to talk. So I just took that moment just to talk to myself. And now you notice how it cleared up. So that's how it seems so simple, but there's a lot of practice behind it. A lot of practice. And so
It's the same thing
now
for me, like when I pull the energy.
you need to come closer, my love. Remember.
Yeah. As for me, my experience is sometimes when I pull energy and it's like we said, might get stuck in certain areas where my body is letting me know I got to work on myself and it's not flowing. I ground myself. I imagine the roots going to the center of the earth, and I imagine my crown reaching to the heavens or the universe up above to my higher self. And that doesn't seem to clear the path. It's like, okay, I then put a different protective bubble around that and almost like kind of shelve it, but it won't detach from me until I have to address it. So similar to what Rebecca, she talks to it and then it flows. Sometimes for me, it's just stuck there and I just kind of, like I said, just put a shield around it and it stops the pain or discomfort so I can focus on the client ahead. And obviously I will return to that and deal with that after when we get a moment if we're not dealing with back-to-back clients. So there's different methods to help you be aware, and maybe you have to kind of protect it and put it aside or just kind of let it stick there. And to me, it diminishes the discomfort or pain and allows me to focus and still flow. And so just remember, we're sharing our different experiences and wisdoms that work for us and many of the speakers so that you can find the tool that's most effective for you on your journey as you explore being a healer or you explore receiving healing yourself.
Mhm. So for today, the topic is ask for a message or a blessing and give thanks. So when you go into meditation or in any way you choose to find that connection with your guides, what is your purpose in receiving your message? You have to have a purpose. What is my purpose of wanting to connect with my guides? What message do I want to receive? And then also, what blessings do you want to ask for? Is it something financial? Is it something, in your environment around your family, your home? You're noticing there's, discord going on amongst your family or friends. And so you ask for blessings. You ask for this to kind of like, okay, what's the lesson or the teaching behind it? And if you can make it clear so we could move on and learn from it. And then how do you give or show thanks to your guides? I really find it very important to always give and show thanks to your guides, because that it's a form of affirmation for them too. That, they really love to see that they're getting through you, because that's their sole job. That's their sole job, is just to really make sure you're getting the teachings and lessons that they've been set to do and guide you through. And like yesterday's speaker, it's a reflection of yourself. you know I don't know if you guys heard this, but it's like before you're born, you actually set a plan, like a blueprint of what you want to experience in this lifetime. What do you want to learn? And when you leave that blueprint behind to your guides, like, make sure, I'm on top of these tasks, that's their sole job, you know. And so you want to make sure to give them thanks when you finally achieved one of those. Like, thank you, finally. Now I can move on to my next lesson, to my next teaching. And so then what resolution or credence of reality do you receive? Are you aware of when you get those moments that you triumph, that you achieve, that, it's like, oh, okay, that's the lesson I needed to go through. Sometimes it takes a while. There's moments where you're like, why did I go through this? Or why did I experience so much of this? And what was the purpose of it? But once we're able to like really forgive and see it for what it was, instead of holding on to those emotional attachments, like, I'm not going to let this go, this really hurt me, or it doesn't serve you in any way, shape, or form any good to hold on to things in a negative way, because then they develop into physical pain, or they develop into a disease or illness. We don't want that. You want to be able to just, yes, it's okay. Like I always tell my husband, it's okay to get mad. It's okay to feel sad. It's okay. Those emotions are meant to help us through that moment. I'm not saying never be angry or never be sad, or no, there are those stepping stones to help us to get through it, but once you get through it, it's time to release them. It's just like an ocean wave. It comes in and it goes back out. And then it comes in and it's something else new, and then it comes back, it goes back in. It's never just always there. And that's why I love going to the water, especially to the beach, to ground myself and also to release anything that I don't need. I'll just stand right there on the edge and just let the water come to my feet, and I'll be like, thank you. And then it's time for me to release. And as it goes back in, I'm releasing whatever I don't need, what doesn't serve me anymore. So I love going to the beach when it comes to grounding and releasing and just forgiving myself for whatever I held on to. Because like I said, we're all human. We all experience life in this world in the human form, and we all are going to experience, anger, sadness, happiness, you name it. We're going to experience it all, even depression, anxiety. I've experienced it, and there's nothing wrong with it. But when it comes not good for you is when you stay there. So that's just a little bit what I wanted to touch upon about this day. And sometimes things will come up, questions will come up where we could add more to it. That's what I love about these courses, that I have somewhat of a preparation of what we're going to speak about, but then the day comes and it shifts a little bit depending on who joins, depending on what comes up. Oh, by the way, you guys need to talk about this. And it's always interesting what comes out. That's why I love about these courses, especially live, because there's always that shift and you get to experience that, like, oh, okay, this is really, especially for some Zoom viewers, I have no idea who's on, but depending on what your needs are or whatever message you need to receive for today, sometimes the conversation will change just for the purpose to be able to get that message through our Zoom viewers. And it's always interesting at the end, especially make sure to stay afterwards, because once we get off Facebook Live at 8:30, we always stay a little bit afterwards till 9 a.m. to, especially to create that safe space for someone if you have any questions. And during that time is where I give messages, and also they or they'll talk, tell me, oh, I received this message. Oh, wow, it really helped me. Now I'm starting to get it. I'm starting to go on this path. That really helped me, what you said on day 2, and I'm working on it. So it's really interesting, that 30 minutes. So I highly suggest always everyone, if you could stay on a little bit more, it's really beneficial, especially if you need to clear up a message or also ask a question.
Speaking about
So,
messages, one of the message I got reminded to was to share we had an interesting conversation with another speaker, again, in one of those private sessions, where she channels an amazing, loving energy, a spirit that said, we really only come to Earth for 1 to 3 main lessons, and the rest is just experience life and hopefully enjoy the ride. Another aspect was maybe translate your definition, consider translating emotion to energy in motion. So if we're made of energy, especially our body being a conduit, just kind of allowing different forms of energy transitioning for us to breathe, for us to kind of digest our food, for us to kind of be moving. And if you have these emotions or these certain vibrations and you hold on to it for whatever reason, whether it's your mindset or your aspect of emotion that you feel like you want to process in a different form or hold on to for a while to learn a lesson, again, just that's where meditation, that's where connecting with your guides to help you process, and maybe that might be one of your main lessons. And who knows, everyone's got their own. And of course, the most important thing, like at least for me, when you receive messages, I learned, it took me a couple of years, but I learned more recently than ever, when I get that message, is this message for me to adjust my vibration to get in the frequency that this client or group of people need to hear my message or healing session? Or is this for me to pass on for them to be more aware, being that they're having a hard time listening to their own guides or the messages they've received from the guides and spirits or angels around them? And of course, at the end, form of blessing I do is like kind of do what an ancient technique to kind of cut the cord, and it's also a forgiveness technique, is Ho'oponopono, which is amazing 4 phrases. I love you, I'm sorry, please forgive me, and thank you. That amazing forgiveness tool has many facets, like cutting the cord energetically, whether it's with a client or maybe you have a bad connection and a challenging connection with someone you care about, friend, family. It does allow that moment to reset. And of course, giving thanks to the guides in any form. Recently, we noticed when we give an intense session, we get a nice cool breeze, whether it's inside a room where there's no real ventilation going on or not a strong one, but we feel the breeze that helps kind of regulate and say, here, we know you need this. And it's like, oh, thank you. And with confidence, like, okay, we recognize our own glossary of what those signs may be for us. And so like like mentioned before, we're just sharing our wisdom, and then you could create your own. Maybe our tool might work for you, but it definitely is something to consider, which now leads us talking about tools and techniques to our next speaker, Ms. Debbie McKay.
McKee. And she's the owner of the Mermaid Cottage Seaside Sanctuary. She does crystal energy healing, and she's a teacher and holistic wellness. And here is her Gmail and her phone number, where if she while she's speaking today, if something resonates with you and you want to get a hold of her, all her information is here. It's also on our events page. You will get her information on the day. If you can't find it there, it is on our Facebook page also. And we are actually, we already started building the unit. So I believe it will be under unit, what, unit 2?
6.
So, unit 2, if you go on our Facebook page, if you, on the top, you'll see like posts, events, just little topics. If you go to the units and click on it, you will see the course of the last one in October of the 7-day chakra cleanse, and all the guest speakers who spoke during that session in that. And then you'll see unit 2, where it's all the videos, these videos from day 1 through 7 of connecting with your guides, and all the information of our speakers. You will find it there, just so you know where to reach it. Okay. And with that, I will give it to Debbie, because she will be actually guiding us through our meditation and then presenting.
Okay. All right. Can you do it so I can see myself? There I am. Okay. Hi, everybody. Hi, Debbie. I said Jess. Hi, Jess. Hey, Mr. Sterling. I don't know you yet. All right, everybody. If you have crystals with you, hold on to those, and we'll take some deep breaths. How long do you want me to go? do you want?
You have a good 2 minutes, 10 minutes for meditation, and then 20 for presentation.
Okay. You said 10, 10 and 20 or 2?
Yeah.
10 and 20. Okay. Wow. All right. So everybody take a deep breath and blow that out the top of your crown. And then pull it in the top of your crown. Push it into your belly slowly. Push it out your tailbone, down your knees, your shins, your feet, out the bottom of your feet into the middle of the earth. Then I like to picture a big, huge cluster of Lemurian crystals in the middle of the earth. So you wrap that breath around that big cluster. And then inhale back up your feet, your ankles, your tailbone, your belly, your heart, your throat, and then shoot out the top of your head again. And then come back into your elbows. Squeeze the crystals that are in your hands. Feel that energy around you. And now we're going to bring in a white light cord from our heaven. Our heaven can be anywhere, what you picture. I like to picture like right up above the Pleiades. And that's quite a few planets. So swirl around that white light around your star constellation and bring that down into the top of your crown and around that whole pineal gland in the middle of your head, and breathe in that white light. Bring in that cord all the way down through your throat, around your heart and your shoulders, around your waist, around your hips, down past your knees. And we're going to wrap that down around that big cluster in the middle of the earth again. So it's nice and strong and you're safe and connected to your body. And inhale that back up past your hips, your heart, your throat, up to the crown again. Okay, now I like to bring in a gold cord also with a Christ consciousness. So it's a super holy cord. So to keep you a little more protected and to bring in your guides can ride in on that gold cord, your guides and your angels or any loved ones that can maybe possibly be your guides. So let's picture a beautiful gold light coming from your heaven, and it's going to spin the opposite direction of your white cord. So you get like a DNA thing going on. So it's bringing the gold, and it'll feel a little different into your crown, wrap around your throat, your heart, your belly, your hips, your knees, out your feet, down into that earth again. Wrap that around that big cluster down in there. And then inhale it back up. And up through your crown again. There you go. So nice solid cords connected to your heaven self, to your earth self, because we do walk on this planet, and our planet can give us so much light and so much healing and so much grounding and so many answers if you listen. So you're bringing your guides. It's bringing our Archangel Michael on our right, Archangel Raphael with the healer angel on your left for safety and wisdom. And then if you know any of your guides' names, you can call them in today also. Just one by one. We can have many, many guides. The older you get, you can collect and call on them either in a group or individually. And call them all in. And to give you some guidance this morning for whatever it is that you're facing. Bring in that energy. You can put one hand at the top of your thymus, just in between your throat and your heart. I call it your happy high heart. And hold your crystals in your other hands. Take a deep breath. Let's do a quick cord cutting of unnecessary thoughts. So you can have your sword, your energetic sword. White selenite works fabulous. Archangel Michael, I feel like that's what his sword is made of. So you can take a big swipe and it's going to go all the way around your body, top of your head. We're going to get rid of some cords of unnecessary thoughts so that we can enjoy ourselves this morning. So swoosh that white cord, that white sword around your auric field, all around you, about 6 foot around you. And you'll get rid of those shopping lists and nagging parent things and religious blocks and the news. Let's get rid of that. Swipe that around our body and our shoulders and our hips and under our feet, under our little bare feet. And come back around over your head. There you go. Good. And that'll get rid of a few little unnecessary clogs or blocks that you've got. There you go. That feels a little lighter. We all got a little bigger, a little taller. All right. So let's go ahead and open our eyes with that so we can stay in our state with our angels and our guides. And at the end, we'll close and have our guides leave. But I like to open the door for them and call them in so that they're with us. But at the very end, I like to close them and have them go back behind us so that we're not walking in a complete daze all day, unless you're at home and you can do that, which a lot of us can. But some of us have to trot off to work or school or children or something. So anyway, just feel that presence around you, and it feels the gold light helps bring in. I use the word holy. I come from a long line of ministers and shamans. But I feel like right now, bringing in the holy light is really important to help us filter. We're so overloaded right now with info. We are the information age, but we are overloaded with it. So the holy light helps filter out our doubts and the negative things that come trotting in, because when you're really shiny, that some of that dark stuff gets really attracted to us. And the gold light helps filter it. It's like, an energetic fly swatter. It just helps shoots it away a little bit better. I know some of you know me, but some of you don't. But I work with crystals predominantly now for about 25 years. And I get new crystals all the time, and they'll show me different. They start chatting at me like little baby spirit guides, and they tell you like, I could do this, I can do this, I can do this. And I just start writing furiously. So they tell me different things, and I've gotten a lot of new gold stones have come to me. Some of them, they're just $1 or $2. So it's not about that. It's just, they help you bring that color into your existence. And that's part of what spirit guides, once you get on your spirit guide train and they start popping in and telling you things, sometimes they seem so damn insignificant. You're like, what does that mean? And sometimes you'll figure it out in a day, a week, and sometimes, like with me, it'll be like 3 months, especially if it's something you're really fighting. You're like, no, I don't believe that. And so, it's okay to take your time with stuff. And then some guides I've had for years, and some I'll only experience for like 1 year or 2 years, but they're still there. Like you meet different guides for different situations that you're going through. And this year has been a big one for a lot of us, for all these big challenges. But I think a big thing that the pandemic has given us is time back to ourselves, that we've been just rushing and doing all of our things. So we've had more time to go within. And we go through levels of that, of where it's everything's bugging us and everything frightens you, or everything just makes you mad, so different guides are going to come in to help you deal with that. And with me this year, it's been a lot of grounding stones, right? Grounding stones. So all these really intense, super dense, heavy stones have come to me, these big hunks of hematite from the Oregon coast or New Zealand, or, whatever. They've come from all these different areas. And some rocks I've never even really thought about. They're like, oh, that's a boring stone, and then now it's like, whoa, this really grounds my head and my gut, my belly that's been upset with all of this upset. And then the spirit guides have told me so much about, they have to keep reminding me, when your guides keep repeating to you, it's because you still need to hear. You're like, oh no, I already learned that one. You're like, no, there it is again. There it is again. So that's part of like the list of questions for us to talk about today is, how do you thank your guides? And a big one is to do what they suggest. And it's sometimes like I said, you get it again and again, and grounding is always one with me. And everyone usually has one part of your body that you get the most pain in, or that bugs you the most, and the belly is definitely me. So whether it's the coffee I had to give up and the acid level, or to not take it into my stomach as that it's my gig to handle. So that's been a lot of this pandemic deal, is to help let go further. Like you were talking, how you were feeling everything that your clients feel right away. And then there's ways to let that go. And different crystals will help remind you of that. Even if it's just across the room, you're like, oh yeah, there's that big old hematite. That's not mine. Let it go. So your guides work with you on what you're doing. And sometimes it's your whole life practice, and sometimes it's just your physical stuff, or it's your emotional stuff, of course, too. But the little reminders, that the guides, you'll hear it once. And I always write when I work with my spirit guides, because I'm very visual. And if I come from a long line of photographic memories, and which sounds really, hoity-toity, but it's not. It's just like, once I write it, I can see it, and then I'll remember it more. Because with my clients, I try to only remember what we've seen and been through, I say, for about 36 hours, not quite 2 days, so that I don't store all the stuff I felt and thought and saw, and all the past life stuff, because it just gets too crazy in there, and I'm hanging on to too much. So I teach myself to let the emotional part go and the physical part go. But if I write it down, I'll remember what I wrote more. So I like to advise writing when you're working with your spirit guides, and when you're in meditation. And it might start out with just a little post-it, and I know some people use little tiny post-its, the little skinny ones. And even if it's just one word, you come out of meditation and you write down that one word, some emotion, or purple triangles or something, whatever that weird thing was, then you can maybe go back later and write and get into a meditative state. Because it's nervous. It's kind of scary sometimes when you first start writing your spirit guides, because you're like, oh, I don't know if I believe it, and who am I, and why would I be able to do that, or why would he come to me? And I had a client the other day, and she's like, Merlin was her first spirit guide. I'm like, Merlin was my first spirit guide, but I didn't even believe it, because I'm like, right, purple hat, stars, everything. I'm like, oh geez, so typical. But you know what? I am like Merlin 25 years later, with the magic and the crystals and the seeing things and disappearing things, and it's crazy crap, man. But it works on your spirit path. If that works for you, we're all different. We're all this big combination. Like, not every Cancer, Taurus, Scorpio is all going to be the same. We have like a 12-house chart. We're all and then your past lives. But spirit guides really help you with just evolving. You don't just, it's not like, where you went to church and your preacher, your pastor says, this is what you say, this is what you do, and don't do this. It's like, there's so much more. And so that's where your spirit guides really help you evolve and go further and further and further. I didn't see the protective class you had, but boy, I should have, because I'm very, I call it spiritual hygiene, like the levels of protection you do, and you setting your space so that you're protected. And it's also your mental safety of how you feel more relaxed to allow things to come in, right? And let your mind let that little bit more information come in, and then trust it. But it's okay if you don't trust it, or you doubt it. Like, I still will pick up a rock and go, I'll hear, this is the name, this is what it does, bam, bam, bam. And then I like argue with it in my head. No, it can't be that because it came from such and such country. It can't do that. Blah, 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 blah. And then I come back and I go round, around, around. I'm like, oh yeah, okay, all right, fine. Like, so you can intellectualize it, and it's okay. We're fast in there. We're going to keep doing it over and over until you go, okay, I trust it. But why I like to write when you do it is that you can go back. Like if you get into that free flow in writing, you go back and read it and you're like, wow, that was some really good stuff. And then it might hit you in a different way today than how you, when you looked at it, when you wrote it like 3 months prior or a year later. And then you get good at this. And the more you do it, the better you get at it. And the more you write, the looser you get. And the more you get into the free flowing. My father was a minister, and he had this desk and he would keep it totally clear except for he wrote on these little 3x5 cards with lines. He wrote super tiny and these tiny little lines, and he would just have that. And it would be, don't talk to daddy. He's in spirit. Don't talk to daddy. He's in spirit. It was like this weird thing. I didn't know now, but I mean, I know now what he was doing, but it was basically channeling his sermon for the week or whatever. And, which sounds so crazy when you just talk about it now, but that's exactly what we do. And when you write your own stuff, you eventually don't need to read much else. So, I mean, I read constantly. I always have like a stack of books I'm going through, but when it comes down to your real moves that you need to do, you've got it right here. It's right here. So I'm all into the rocks and the crystals and the things that help you write because it helps open you up. But they're also your triggers. They can be your triggers to opening up. Like I always pull Archangel Michael on the right for protection, and Raphael on the left for, as a more green angel for opening up and feeling that safe information will come in, because I believe in healing. I believe I'm a healer and a light worker. And my guide said I have to say earth worker now too, because I work with the earth so much. And I think it's not just the white light, but the earth that we're sitting on and working with. And all these signs you get from your angels are always from the earth. So earth worker and light worker. But the light worker is definitely pulling in the light, pulling in the white light, pulling in the gold light to make sure that you're safe. And then I could, in a minute, I'll go over a few crystals that I like to use for spirit guide work and for writing spirit guide work, and then it becomes, whether you really believe that's what it does to you or not, it can be your trigger for, okay, I got my kunzite, I'm ready, and it's just like lighting that candle. Like in the very beginning, the old books a long time ago, all the old psychic books were about light your candle in front of the mirror and sit in front of the mirror and have these really specific stuff. And then some of the stuff seems a little witchy, and I try to stay way away from the witchy jazz, but some of them are just old school stuff that we do for us as humans, like, yeah, lighting a candle, but it can be that candle that has that certain scent on it that really makes you feel good. And you're like, oh, it's my favorite scent. Oh, it's my favorite scent. And now we have all these essential oils. So I have a couple that I use. I like the woody ones, the trees and the cypress and the spruce and the pine. And then my other trigger oil has changed over the years. Right now I'm really into Veveter, and it just has this really old smell. It used to be frankincense, but has a really old, it's hitting me from some past life way back, like I've got a thing about the 1500s, and then I got a thing about between 400 and 600 AD right now that I'm tapping into. So these scents can really tap you into your old self from before, and your guides are like, yay, she found me, because it's that little bit of oil you put right there that's coming to you super subtly, And the crystals do that. The crystals help open you up bigger because they get you beyond you, and that's the whole key with spirit guides, is you're trying to get, the information is in here, but you're just trying to get over those fear blocks. And as I said before, I come from a long line of ministers on both sides. So I had to jump through a lot of hoops to relax and open up and let go of all those fear, that the devil was just going to jump down my throat and take me down. But that won't happen now. And then it goes, I've got way back like five, 6, and 7 generations of shamans, and they were Cherokee. I got a lot of Cherokee blood, and it turns out they were female shamans too, which really made me happy. So that information just makes me more comfortable with who I am now to talk even on things like this, even though I'm in my little bedroom here. It just helps me feel more comfortable with who you are, and then it'll allow that information to come in. This crystal here, I've had this one a really, really long time. I talk about Lemurians a lot. So these Lemurian crystals are the older ones. This is a minimum of 75 million years old. And I doubt if you can see this, but this is a record keeper. So it's got these little triangles on them. And they're just on the face, and they're natural. And it just shows up on there. They're not carved. I prefer raw rocks, because I feel like that's how nature's supposed to give them to us, and we work with them. But these little triangles, and you have them, this one is like perfect forehead size. So you rub the triangles, and then boom, and then you do your meditation with them. And I believe you can lay down to meditate. I mean, that used to be a real strict law in, Psychic Business 101, was just, you must sit up. I'm sure the Buddhists and the Tibetans are like, you must sit up. But with crystals, I believe you can lay down with them, and you put one right here, it's gonna shut off your monkey mind, and you just get information right away. So there's a handful that I like to recommend for that. And they really, there's some you should hold, but there's some that, this one is kind of big for the forehead. And so it has a weight distribution. So depending how you're lying down and how long it'll be able to stay on your forehead. But a really good crystal that is just right for you, you'll know. Like, you go into that crystal store and you go around and pick up 40 different rocks, and you go back to that one, you're like, this is it, So listen to yourself, because that's your spirit guides, going, yeah, that one, and get that one. And then there's some that you work with and rub, you'll work for 20, 30 years, that you continually learn new things, because it gives you that same hit, like that scent or that candle, to let go and go within and go inside that brain and that pineal gland, and then to be able to hear your spirit guides. So I don't know if anyone talked about this week, but your third eye isn't just right here. And it doesn't have to be an eyeball shape, even though those Egyptian graphics are fantastic, but it's in the middle of your head, so, and they call it the pineal gland. So it looks like a tiny little pine cone. So I like that this time of year, when you go for your walks, look for some of those pine cones in different sizes. So, I tend to find, like, when I'm feeling thick, I'm like, I can't hear a thing, the world. And I go for my walk, and then inevitably I'll find pine cones, and I'll find a little one and a little bigger one and a little bigger one. Because you can grow that little pine cone in your head. You literally can grow it. I work with some brain doctors, and they can measure it. They've measured them get bigger. So you can literally, and you can blow air into it. You blow spirit into it, like we do with our little meditation, blowing the white light in there and down in your body. But that whole breathing, it opens up your pineal gland. And of course, your diet will affect that too. Eating all that crap is not going to get you anywhere, but it'll definitely plug it. And of course, fluoride's a big one. And then a lot of preservatives, the calcium, whatever carbonates are in those put a cakey layer on it too. So the cleaner you eat, the more open your pineal gland, the more you'll be able to hear your guides. And it all goes round and round. So anyway, so this is one, this is called a record keeper. Your quartzes in general will be your best babies to help open up you to your spirit guides. The record keeper is probably number one. If they have a window on it, these are hard to see on film, but it'll be a quartz that has a triangle, a diamond shape. There's one that'll be diamond shape. It'll just be on its natural face. Like, this is called the face. These are faces. And then on one of the corners, it'll have like a little triangle, or a diamond. And then some will have a parallelogram. Parallelogram is what's two flat sides and then two slanty sides. And so you'll know it because you pick up and you go, oh, you immediately go, oh, you like your head lets go, and you just your eyes get all big and spacey, just like you're on drugs. But you're not on drugs, you're on you're with your crystals, right? So they help you go inside and release fear, release blocks. Dambarite's another groovy one, not expensive, but has this great flat face right there, like a triangle face, which also fits the forehead. Boom. And you can have tiny ones. Tiny ones can do it. My other favorite is apophyllite. This is the cluster. So this is the apophyllite right here. They have these little natural triangles on them. This one. This is a nice little size. These are usually about 20 bucks. The bigger ones get into like 50 bucks. Or you can get into just the apophyllite top, it's called. You see that? And so it's a pyramid, and then it has a square bottom. And a lot of times you can see this one, it's super sheer and it looks like a vortex. So they're really good for, like, you can go, I take these hiking and you can take your own little vortex with you and you're like, boom, and you shoot out. But they're fabulous. They fit your forehead just fabulous. So this is other than an amethyst pyramid. Amethyst pyramid's like perfect. They're about $15, but this will take you up to the next level. Amethyst pyramid will help you relax and help you shed your religious blocks that that put fear in there. You're like, oh, I shouldn't do that. Oh, I shouldn't do that. I only got this. Only got this. Can't do this. So they really help shut your brain down so that you can go inside. But the apophyllites take you up bigger. And this one's here talking at me. This was a bigger one that I had for years, and I was doing a guided meditation in this place that was a little risky. There was a lot of witchy stuff going on there, and so there was a lot of good energy but scary energy. And so we're in this meditation, and this thing popped off. It just cracked right off. Pop. So it's still an apophyllite, and this one still works, and this one's like optically clear. But what it taught me was, look, what does that look like? It looks like a pyramid opening up. So I got this whole meditation. I totally lost contact of what I was supposed to be doing. And I got this huge meditation about tapping into all the pyramids around the planet, and that there's all this information in there that nobody's talking about, and that you can connect all those pyramids all the way around the world, because there's pyramids all in like every country and all over in the water and stuff. And they're all in threes. That's how you're like, oh, that's, it's really funny. But anyway, that's what that apophyllite taught me, even though I was like, oh no, it broke. But all this information came out of it. And I have 3 different Egyptian guides for different things came out of that. But I still call on Akhenaten was a pharaoh that came in, and I work with him a lot, as a lot of us have Egyptian drama that we've had and trauma we've gone through to help release in your work, especially if you're a healer. Because they did some really crazy shit then. They did a lot of weird breeding and a lot of weird stuff, but a lot of our past lives, if you're a healer and a light worker, whatever you want to call yourself, we've been taken out in some really horrible ways, like as humans, geez, 1500s, 1400s, geez, we just, pull people's bowels out. I mean, we did horrible things to people when they're like, they're a witch, and, or you're, heresy, you're against whatever the king believes today. And then you were killed like really bad, trying to get information out of you. So a lot of the past life work, we have to jump through a lot of hoops of getting rid of fears of how we were executed, So Egyptian stuff can be radical. And then you see this really crazy stuff. You're like, what is that? Some stuff it's taken me years to get through to figure out. And then like when I first heard it was before I moved into this place. So that was like 11 years ago. And I'm using some of that information now on people. So now I'm like, okay, I'm good with this. I understand. So it's interesting your life with your spirit guides, what they teach you, But anyway, this apophyllite taught me a lot. And it's more of like just a representative of what it was, a limit that I had that it showed me But then I learned a whole nother thing. I mean, I've written almost a whole book just on this moment of what I've learned since then. Because that guide of mine, Akhenaten, he was the first pharaoh to say to be a mono instead of poly gods. You know, instead of having a bunch of gods, we got all the gods, and there's like, no, there's only one. So he was the first one going, no, there's only one. And so he only lasted a few years because the rest of the Egyptians were like, no, we're not gonna have that. But he was King Tut's father, I believe. But that's a fun thing when you get into spirit guides in different centuries and different lifetimes, and then you can get all this information that's not written down anywhere. I'm a big Lemurian, and there's hardly anything written about Lemuria. I mean, we've got a lot of new people on YouTube's in here that are channeling some really cool stuff, and they're talking about it. And once in a while, you're like, yeah, I know that one. But you usually don't read this stuff anywhere. So that's what's really exciting about spirit guides, is you can find out all this other stuff about history and yourself. It doesn't have to be just about the scary stuff and how you were killed. You know, it can be, you know, some fantastic tips for how you can use this information in your practice today. You know, and like this whole election drama right now, it's so Atlantean. Oh my gosh, it's so Atlantean. And then once you realize that, then you see instantly who's was a good Atlantean, who was a not so good Atlantean. It starts getting really clear. And then you don't even have to listen to what they say. You can just like, oh, not gonna listen to that guy. You know, so it's interesting what you can learn with your guides. Okay, a couple other rocks, and then where's my time? It's almost 8. This is one of my favorites. If you girls who know me, this is Lerma. It's kind of a big chunk of it. It's just this yummy, blue, happy, oh, I'm going to vacation, I'm almost on the island kind of a rock. But it gets you, this helps you deal with a lot of your past life pain. And then if you have any starseed connections, this helps you with not feeling lonely and not feeling all on your own. I'm doing this all by myself, nobody cares. It helps you feel comfortable as a water person if you don't live by the water. And I live by the water, so you can always come to my house. That's why I call it a seaside sanctuary, because of this right here. Because you can breathe the air. You don't have to be in the water to feel the ocean. It's in the air. Like we have a weird little cloud layer today, so it's very salty. And so you can breathe that in. It's really lovely. Let's see, what else? Okay, probably my main one, kunzite for writing. It's slightly pink. You can see the pink when you turn it sideways. Kunzite. There's tryphane, which is yellow, and hiddenite, slightly green. But the pink one evolves, and then it has record keeper triangles on the side. But get one that fits in your hand, really groovy, so that you can hang on to it when you meditate and then write. It really helps spirit come in, open up your pineal gland, and goes right to your heart and comes out your hand. So it just goes. I'm a big writer. I love writing, and eventually I will be published. I've got about 8 books written, and I got 2 more jumping on me now. So the kunzite was a huge part in this. It opens your heart up even bigger, so that, you know, all healing's done through the heart. You work on your heart and your belly. It gives you the confidence, your intuition to hear your guides and to utilize that information in your life every day. You know, whether you have a healing practice or you're just working on yourself and your layers, peeling off your layers, your guides will help you, you know, do all that. Oh, I just realized. Okay, so your topics. So about probably the biggest thing I can say about thanking your guides, how do you do to appreciate them, is like I said before, is try to, you know, utilize that information in your life, because that's why they're there. They're your guides to help you through this. So to utilize what they say. But there's some simple things, like if you have, we used to call them altars. I mean, my whole dang house is an altar, but you can have an area where you light your candle every morning and smudge every morning. I always have had it on my stove, because I've always had a lot of kids in the house, and that's the one place I won't go because they're waiting for you to cook. So I light my candle in the morning, and then I get the coffee. Like I don't even turn the lights on in the morning to do the coffee or the tea. You light the candle in the morning, you get your water going, you light this. I just break off 1 leaf of the sage You light that on your candle. You thank them for, you remember like you're coming out of dream time in the morning, right? So you thank them for that big impact from yesterday. You're still kind of wearing it, something you had with a client or something that happened, whether it was that one cashier you talked to yesterday, your eyes met, you could see how exhausted they were. You give them that enlightened smile, and then their eyes light up, and you remember that. That's about all we get on some levels these days. You get this sweetness of spirit exchange, right? I had a wild client yesterday that was really intense, and I cried and cried afterward. It was just so wild. But I had to thank spirit about it this morning when I was lighting my candle this morning, because it was another lesson of some things for me to let go. It's not me, but I appreciate that I was here for them, and my guides were there for me, and God is right here, and it's why I'm here. Yesterday was my purpose, why I'm here. And I think those are the holiest moments you can get from your spirit guides, and why you're here is to know your purpose and to actualize it and to feel it in your heart. I cry so much now since COVID, because I just feel like walking around in spirit all the time, right? So it's like you feel like whenever you cry, to me, that's God in your heart coming out your throat, that little gurgle you get in there, and then it comes out your eyes. And so to me, that's spirit coming out your eyes. So you do your little thankfulness in the morning. I like to always do it in the morning. And then if you have my other advice for spirit guides, as far as not hearing them and feeling frustrated about that, is something I've practiced a lot these past couple months is I know it's cliche to go into gratitude, but it's really true. You go down through this list of like, thank you for this, and thank you for this, thank you for this, and it starts loosening you up. And that helps you once you start doing he said the Ho'oponopono is fantastic. It works like that. But if you do it with simple things, and if you're really sad or really pissed, just go through that basic stuff. Thank you for my breath. Thank you that my knees are working today. Thank you that my left foot isn't hurting today. Go through some really basic things, and it can help you get out of that anger or sadness. Because I don't know about you guys, but that sadness has been climbing in heavy with this, whether it's the pandemic or the election. There's a lot of us in California here, so there's a lot of us feeling these things. So the gratefulness really helps, and go down like at least 20 things if you can, and then you'll start getting to the good stuff of what your guides have given you. I'm a big fairy person too. I feel the earth energy, and the trees and the flowers and the birds and the animals and the water and all of that. So something else on your list you gave me to talk about is how do you actualize some of this? And so I'm a big feather person. You girls have seen my feathers, but this is my my smudge feather that has grown over the years. This is a twisted vortex piece of wood on the inside from Sedona. That's a real sign that you're in a vortex, is that you see the wood is twisted one way and then it's twisted the other way. The trees that are in certain areas, and you'll see like 5 different types of trees, and they all have twisted wood and in different directions. So anyway, it's a piece of that I found. The feathers I process by hiking a lot, or swimming, but hiking. And I hike until I can't hike anymore. And you're contemplating all your thoughts, and you're talking to spirit, and you're like, but what about? And then I finally get really humbled, and you look up, and I feel like, you talk to your guides, and then you feel like, oh, maybe that's the answer, And then I look around, or usually I look straight down, and there'll be a feather right between my feet, right between my feet. Not over there, but right there. You're like, okay, there's my answer. So I pick that feather up and I take it with me. And that's what these all are. These are all from different walks in different states, from all over the place. So that's one of my personal signs. So to me, it's a tangible earth-bound animal, but he flies. And so it's closer to spirit, because I always feel like the higher you hike, the closer to spirit, the thinner the veil, the thinner the energy, the higher the vibration, you can feel it. And so here is an animal flying right next to God, right with God, right with spirit. And so if one of those feathers comes down, especially if it's a cool bird like a hawk or an owl or a white herring, or I get a lot of white birds. To me, that's a miracle to me. These are miracles. When you get these little signs from spirit, they're from your spirit guides, they're from you, they're from your holy self, they're from the Holy Spirit. And there's your tangible evidence, because I need tangible evidence. I'm a crystal girl, I'm a rock girl, I'm a feather girl, I'm a water girl. You know, I need that tangible evidence sometimes. And then you start getting them all the time. You're like, yeah, yeah, yeah. And then they'll stop. So don't get too cocky. But it is exciting when you do that. And then it's try to think about the minute you see that thing, whatever that thing is, you know, it's a rock or a color or a hummingbird or a, you know, a dragonfly or whatever it is that you see, or a feather. What is that thought you had a second before that? Because to me, that's your answer when you're contemplating your problem or your thought or your struggle. That to me, and then you got to back up because you can't hardly think of it. What was it? What I think of, you know, but your feather will remember, and you can go in and take that feather again and go back in and ask again, and you'll get that answer and answer again and again until you believe it, right? I'll just show you a couple more goodies. This is my white wand that I made for healing. It's a pelican bone. I'm a big beachcomber, so that's where I do a lot of my walking. And so this is a pelican wing bone. It's really light, but it's really long. And my guides showed this to me because I started getting black feathers and I started getting white feathers. And I'm like, what am I supposed to do with that? So they told me to make this white wand. So it's a selenite, and then the pelican bone. And then I was getting some white owls and white owl feathers, and it's just like they're so shocking. But I love white herons too, so some of those have come to me. So I made this, and it has this funny little bone where my finger hangs on there, just perfect. And then my scary wand, I have a scary wand, and I use those during healings. For that one is for opening people's wings up and opening up their angelic self, because sometimes, like yesterday, someone had a really tragic thing happen, and then by opening up her heaven self and her higher self and her angel self, is what they tell me, to open up their angel wings again, to not be so downhearted and shattered, to open up their angelic self so that they can hear and feel their angels and feel their guides and feel their holy self again, because they're so shocked, you know. And then this is my scary one. This is a stone called stibnite. They're usually skinny and about this big. And I had this miner, he's like, here, take this one. And it's huge. So this one's about 1.5 inches wide and I don't know, 7 inches long. It's really big. Wrapped it in a leather because you're not supposed to touch it. It's a toxic rock. And then there's where my black feathers go. So the ravens, the turkey vultures, all the scary crows, they're always coming around. And so those are on here. And then my guides told me to, for removing dark entities. So I do that scary stuff too. But it's for pulling out, you know, whether it can be simple, all the people we've slept with, you know, clearing out the uteruses and clearing out the sacral energy of past loves and past anger with loves, to literally pulling off the dark energies off of people's shoulders, because a lot of bodiless spirits can clamp onto shoulders. Or if you have a loved one who has addictions, or you have even children that have addictions, or friends, they can like come to you, and they might not latch onto you, but they'll be in your existence, and clearing them off keeps you clear, you know. So that's one of my crazy things that I do for people, but it really helps. Anyway, that's my black one. But so that's like, I mean, that's kind of extreme. That's a lot of feathers and a lot of stuff, but it can be simple too. You know, the simple ones do work for me too. But here's a couple other weird things I have found over the years. I now have 3 of them. I thought these were seal hips, but it turns out they're from dolphins. So this weird looking paddle, it's really light too. It looks like a paddle. It has these ribs in it. And so these are from dolphins. So I have 3 of these. So that's been kind of wild. And then this is a new one. It's a seal jaw. and there's teeth in it. I don't know if you guys, it's a small, it was a baby seal. So, I mean, the bones might creep you out, or they might seem really voodoo, but they have an energetic presence on them. And I work with the ocean energy so much, it works in my practice that my guides, I mean, I might have that for a couple years before I work with it, but my guides will tell me what to do with them. So those can be your tangible signs that you find from your spirit guides besides just the words. But I advise, if you're having trouble hearing your guides, or to get outside, because it's so much easier outside. That's why I say I work with the fairies. Not that I work with the fairies more than the angels, but they'll come up the energy comes up your legs. Whereas angels tend to come down from, they give you the little on the back of your head and stuff. But the angels will give you like more body hits, buzz, 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 these buzzes. Let's see. Am I almost at time?
A little past our usual
Little
schedule.
pass. Should I stop?
Not stopping. We're just adjusting. We're opening up now for those who are here to ask any questions.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah,
Yes.
I'm down. Ask me whatever you want, guys.
We have you. You're able to unmute yourself.
Yeah.
Unmute yourself.
To raise your hand physically or electronically if you don't, so that we could call on you and ask Debbie a question, or maybe share a message so they
Show you.
their interpretation.
Oh, what you got there?
This is the one I use when I work. Oops, I always have to look for the camera. There we
Oh,
go.
there you go. There's the third eye opener.
Yeah.
What's that made out of, or is it clay? Looks like it's clay.
No, it's onyx, I believe.
Turn it around. Let me see the shine. Okay. Okay, yeah, it's onyx. Or is it light or is it heavy?
It's there's a little bit of weight to it, but not
Wait,
that
so
much.
yeah, so yeah, it probably is onyx. If it was light, it'd be obsidian. So
Mhm.
it would do something different. The obsidian's really good. What you got, Mr. Man?
The same one. He has.
Oh,
the
same one. Oh, but you got the Merkaba on it. Oh, look at
Yeah.
that Metatron.
We
Nice.
got these. We visited. We went a year ago to Mexico for our cousin's wedding, and there's this spot that I love to go to, that I was introduced to in my early 20s, and it's called the Ocotlan, and it's an energy spot out in the open, and they built this beautiful castle near it.
Ooh, nice.
And so when you go there, it's a healing place. A lot of people go there for healing, but it's out in the open, and you just literally stand in this one spot.
That's a
and
vortex.
It's a vortex, and it sounds like you're inside a tunnel.
Oh, cool.
Because when the minute you step in, all you hear is just your voice. Like you can't, all the outside noise is like gone. And then
Wow.
you just hear this like if you walked into like a tunnel. It's very interesting. And so when we were there, I introduced him to that place, and he really was like blown away by it. And that's where
Yeah,
we picked these up. We picked these up there in Mexico. And so
Cool.
we always have these in our pocket whenever we're working with clients.
Did it say made in Mexico? Was it onyx from Mexico?
No,
No.
no, it's just crystal. They just have like a selection, just like any crystal shop. They just have all
Right.
the crystals there.
Well, yeah, it's like, how local honey is better for your allergies. I don't know if you know that. You should know that because you got the lung thing going on. But the local honey is by local bees. So the things that are irritating you, that will help heal it. So I feel like that about the rocks too. If you can get a lot of crystals that are local, then they work on you on a local way, the things that are affecting you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, it's turns back. What else?
It's Davida said, how do you clean your feathers after you find them? Water, sage, crystals, etc.
Well, I don't worry about it too much. I'm an outdoor girl, so I like a little bit of grub and grit. But if there's going to be any germs on it, it's going to be on the very tip, in the very end here. That's where the germ would be. I'm not. My kids are really both germ bugs. I'm not, but I would just clean this part the most with just a little rubbing alcohol. But if you put it out in the sun for a while, you know, a week or 2 or 3 or month, the heat will kill off anything that's there, and then smell it. You know, if you smell it and it still smells funky like a dead animal, then leave it out there a little longer. Eventually that dead animal smell goes away. It sounds gross, but that's how I gauge it.
Okay, perfect.
I don't think they're energetically dirty at all. I think they're really heavenly.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Oh, good, cool. Devetta, have you been getting a pattern of colors of feathers, like black or white or blue or yellow or something? I had a time where all the yellow feathers came to me when I was out in Colorado, and that was really wild because you're like, I didn't see any yellow birds, but the feathers came to me. Blue, yeah, blue and then black. Yeah, blue is pretty cool. So blue, you know, just go about your chakras with those. You don't have to Google it. Just, although there's a whole feather augury, but I like to just keep the colors with your chakras. So it's about your truth, opening up your truth, let your truth fly free. Yeah. What else?
I love feathering. You know, sometimes, especially with my daughter, it's really good. JB.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm. Very good. Yeah, hold that up closer. It's just kind of
I know,
glitchy.
or take off the screen because that screen doesn't help.
I know it always looks. I don't like those because it looks like spirits are coming in.
I know. I don't like I like to see something natural. Not that I really don't like those screens
Me
either.
too. Yeah, I don't hold still like a robot. There we go.
There
Oh,
we go.
nice.
That's my
Did you make that? Did you wrap it yourself?
No, my friend Izzy, he was one of the guest speakers that couldn't make it for day 3. He travels around the world and he does a lot of Native American rituals,
Nice.
ceremonies, and he actually makes them. And so I took a class from him when my daughter was 3, 4 years old. And so he taught us how to feather our children.
Oh,
To
cool.
kind of calm them down, to kind of help them. And since then, you know, it really helped with my daughter, like, because her energy would sometimes be like very like spiky, you know, up and down, up and down. And so whenever she kind of gets that way, I pull out the feather and I just start feathering her, you know, just to bring her, ground her or connect her, you know, depending on which direction. If you want to connect her to the heavens, you go from here up and then
that's nice.
Down, you know.
I've never heard anybody call it feathering. I like that. That's lovely.
Yeah, that's what he called it. It's called feathering. So depending on the direction you want to go, if you want to clear something out, you'll go out the limbs, you know, just to clear out anything. It's really interesting. And it was really interesting because I remember that day I took my daughter to this class. There was all these children. She was just so like, like, you know, losing it there for a while. And I was like, oh my goodness. I was
They pick up everybody else.
Yeah, I was the only parent dealing with this child going crazy. Although the children were just all calm. And I'm just like, oh my goodness. And then finally, after he finished talking, the Native Americans that came to present that, one of them came up to Luna and just kind of gave her all these feathers. He just gave her all these feathers to just kind of touch and just to calm her. And so she finally calmed down. And there was one that she kept gravitating to. And she actually asked him, you know, I want this one. And so it was like a you know, a clump of one. So he pulled out one. He goes, okay, here you go. And it was this little tiny feather. And oh my gosh, she, you know, she came home with it and she would just like be in bed and
nice.
rub it all. And it was the cutest thing watching her doing that. Seeing the effect and the power of this feather just to bring her down and just to like really put her in that state of calm.
Yeah. I run like these wands I made down people's legs. It used to be like I was super shy about it in the beginning, like just going by their shoulders, and then eventually some people need that touch to be brushed off, and then down people's legs a lot because people get so ungrounded, and then they get panicky when their financial supply is getting really choppy. So if you clear off your feet all the way down your feet, it helps that flow come back in and stuff. You know, what you're saying about the direction, that was interesting. The direction of the way you brush. Like the crystals are that way when you put a circle of crystals around someone's body, whether they're going out, when they're like, you know, the client's going, and this happened and that happened. And you're like, ooh, we got to get that energy out. Or they're really placid and tired. And so then you put the crystals in to give them more energy.
Yeah. Yeah, it's very unique, learning the directions of energy and how they could help you, you know, because even like chakras, when we're clearing our chakras, you know, making sure they're turning clockwise, you know, things like that, it's really important to know those little things. Even, even when I'm working on someone's abdomen, let's say they're having stomach issues, I always got to make sure also, again, start from the right, go up to the rib cage, across to the left, and down the left, down your colon, to make sure whatever is clogged in the,
Release it.
it's to release it. You go to the bathroom. You don't want to go the other way because then you're going to cause
Maybe be clogged.
well,
Well, I will say there's some other things that I've seen on some people. It depends where their soul originated, you know, and not just this life, but like this is just what I've seen when they first landed on the planet. Like if they landed in China first or in Australia first, their chakras are going different directions. They're swirling different directions. We used to joke about it, like when a friend went to Australia, if the toilet water swirled a different direction, and it does. So, because I'm like, take a picture of the water and send it to me. And so then their chakras will be spinning different ways. I think it's just really important for the chakras to all be spinning in the same direction. You know, you don't want one going one way, one going the other way, but their soul. So, because I used to really worry about the right opening and closing the right way. But as long as they're all spinning together. But the poopy thing, that's interesting. Yeah, to clear it, you know, open it, clear it, remove it, heal it, close it back up. And then I always say at the end to release everything you no longer need. So I actually have that sign in the bathroom.
like
That's
that.
when you can release it.
And then
What else you got? What did you say, Jess? Yes, I was curious about how to work with. Where's the chat?
Merkaba.
Merkaba stone.
Oh, Merkaba. Yeah, you had the. Yeah, there you go. Oh yeah, so hold that and spin it. No, like hold it still and spin it with your finger. So that it goes, so it spins really fast. So I teach a whole thing about how to basically fly around in a Merkaba. Drunvala Melchizedek has great vocals on that one, but that's when you do in meditation. That's advanced work. But when you sit and you can either literally fly around the world in your Merkaba, that's like around you, or you can just be, you know, if you really want to go see stuff, like you can go see Eiffel Tower, you can go see a castle you want to go look at. As long as you keep it holy and not do you know, for a holy purpose, and not, you know, go spy on your ex-boyfriend, see who he's sleeping with. You know, you don't want to do that stuff because that'll get you into trouble. That's why I don't teach astral travel, because that's usually what people want to do. Who's he sleeping with? I want to know. Is she cute? But the Merkaba is a very holy symbol. It's very, very ancient. It goes back to the very beginning before any of us humans were trotting around. But it's a beautiful sacred geometry shape. But that's what you can do with it. You can either just hold one in your hand, or you can spin one over your head, or you can literally put yourself in one. Like, have you ever met anybody who sat in, like, literally, like a lot of the festivals they have now, the big triangle brass things that you can sit in, you know? Oh, I would never do that around all those people. That'd be crazy. But you can do it at home with your little stone Merkaba. I have one hanging over my healing table, and I have an apophyllite, and I'll spin it just to give it a little extra hit. But it can help you get up out of where you're stuck, and you can find out a lot more things. But you can use it just holding it and talk to your spirit guides, and find out more. And it helps you go out. I like to do a meditation, a visual meditation, where you you have a ball comes in front of you of light. It opens up. There's another ball of light in different colors. And then there's a Merkaba in there. And then that spins. And then your spirit guide is right in the middle of it. And that's like, that can be like a real holy guide or a healer guide or psychic surgeon getting into the wild stuff. But it's a pretty holy thing to use. So I don't like to talk about it casually because you get some pretty big stuff and you have to be ready. You have to be emotionally, spiritually ready for that. So yeah, not surprised you have one, Jess.
Jessica, for others who have more questions about Merkaba, one of many good sources is this gentleman, Marius de Stefano. He has a series on Gaia. We'll be posting up some of the references that we mentioned. It's a series, it's 2 seasons right now. It's called Initiation. And he talks a little bit about it. So you could gather some information that might assist you or those who are curious to expand on that. And like I said, we'll post it up in like the Facebook group or to kind of help you get a little wisdom to apply what you need and hopefully guide you to be more connected with your guides. It is at top of the hour. We're about to close up with a wonderful.
Yeah. There was just one more question. A good crystal for sleep.
I'd probably say amethyst and rose quartz.
Mhm.
Amethyst just really helps you relax your spirit and any of your spiritual information or anything you're wrestling with about spirit and God and your angels. It will never stimulate you. It will just relax you. And then rose quartz is all about love, of course, but it literally relaxes your skin. I should put one in my bed now. It helps you relax your face. You feel more love. It helps you feel more love. It helps you be more loving. It helps you be more lovable. And then you attract more loving people. So it helps get rid of the crabby people too. But it helps you sleep better because you're feeling more loved. And it's just a slow pulse. It's not intense. It's just a slow, gentle vibe. So you could have 10 of them in your room. You can have the really big ones. I get these big ones that are like 25 pounds and stuff. We all need a 25 pounder, to help like really relax you. And you can put them in your house. You can put them in your kitchen where everybody wants, argues and stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's a good one for sleep. The quartzes will be really good for spirit work and you'll learn, but they'll keep you awake. They're like, do this, try that, do this. I'm here, blah, blah, blah. And you just, and if you're into this stuff, as we all are, you can burn out, and not sleep for weeks. So those mellow stones will help you ground. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you so much. So what I'm going to do right now is go ahead and start closing with the Tibetan bowls. So day 1, we did the crown where, it's the white light that connects us to our higher selves, to our God, or whatever you believe in. Then our third eye, which is our violet, our beautiful violet that turns clockwise. It shoots out and behind, it goes through. And then that was the day 2. For day 3, we did the throat chakra. For day 4, we did the heart. Yesterday, we did our solar plexus, our core yellow. And today it is our sacral plexus, our beautiful orange. So right on this low abdominal area, you want to visualize this beautiful orange, vibrant color turning clockwise. Take 3 deep breaths. take 3 deep breaths as you come back.
Nice.
Yeah, so tomorrow will be our day 7. Make sure to join in. That is our last day. We will be doing the root, our main root chakra, the reground. We started it backwards this time because we were connecting with our spirits guides. So I wanted to start from the crown and then just work our way down to reground through our series. And again, you're welcome to watch all day 1 through day 6 if you missed any on our Facebook page. And then all our guest speakers information will be there also if something resonates with you. And I just want to thank you, Debbie. Debbie, just for your insightful information. It really helped us, today. And then all our guests, thank you for joining us and stay. It's not a goodbye. It's just a goodbye for Facebook Live. We will still be here for a half hour more to answer any more questions that might come up in a safe space. Okay.
Thank you all for those on Facebook Live or in this recording. If you're not already part of the Healers Roundtable on Facebook, please join in, and we'd like to have you contribute or explore your healing capabilities. Till next time, stay healthy and breathe intentionally.